All right, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are ready, we'll call a meeting to order. Read the emergency evacuation. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Please do not use elevators. Once you've reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building. Quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles. Ms. Clerk, if you'll take the roll. As it looks to me, Ms. King is absent. Ms. King will be absent. She's unable to attend tonight, and we do have a quorum, correct?
Yes, Burkhalter.
Here.
Kaler.
Here.
Farmer.
Here.
Lael.
Here.
And Deshae.
Okay. Stand for motion, set the agenda tonight.
So moved.
That'd be Mr. Burkhalter, second Mr. Lael. Anything need to be added, changed, anything? By the way, guys, the way it's set up tonight, if you want to talk, just hit your button in front of you and it'll immediately turn your microphone on. I don't even have to turn you on tonight.
How did you arrange for that?
Don't ever ask.
Just another example.
Absolutely. Have a motion to set the agenda and a second. Have no changes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Set the agenda. Stand for approval of the minutes of March the 5th, which you have in your packet.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Burkhalter, second.
Second.
Mr. Kaler, any changes or alterations need to be made to this? Being none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Now, public input on items on the agenda. Anyone wish to speak to items on the agenda in the audience? Seeing none, we'll go forward. On new business, discussion possible action regarding the establishment of a recycling program for Blount County citizens. I will thank Ms. Deshae. She furnished the locations. It is in your packet. We do need to get these locations posted on the Blount County website. I know they're on your website, correct? And you do have all of these. I did receive a request to please include Chilhowee Review. Now, I received that from a couple of citizens. They're recycling, as I understand it, paper and corrugated cardboard at Chilhowee View Community Center. And they asked please include it on the list so people could recycle that there. I would speak with the president of the community club, but he's sort of out of contact with illness at the present time, so I did not get a chance to talk with him. But several of the members of the community club had asked that that be included, and if we can add that on, and we'll get you the address for that.
Yeah, I can add that on. I didn't realize they had recycling
Yes, ma'am.
there, so I'll get that added. I'll research
Ms. King, now you're familiar with that. There are two containers there, aren't there, ma'am?
I know there's paper, because we take our paper there, isn't there, Carmen, too?
Okay.
That last month, and that's where we go.
Okay, well, I received a call from some of the people that belong to the community center, and of course, the president of the community center is currently ill, so I couldn't confirm it with him. However, unless I'm told otherwise, we're going to go ahead and list that.
Yeah.
Because they did request it.
Okay, I'll add that in there.
Thank you, ma'am. And like I say, we do need to forward this to Mr. Herron. We need to have this listed on the Blount County website as well as the Keep Blount Beautiful. Yes, ma'am.
In regard to posting it on the website, is it possible that Mr. Herring could add a link off of the homepage in some way that would go directly to it, so it would be very easy to access, and
Yes,
it would
sir.
show up as if when someone goes to the homepage, it would come up as one of the links. Therefore,
I feel certain we can request Mr. Herron to do that, and I'm
Okay.
sure he'll have no problem, Mr. Lael.
I would.
Yes.
Coach just said he thinks it's paper and magazines, not cardboard, so you might.
Okay. I will check to make sure, but I do know it's papers.
I'll double check
The
it.
other one he thinks is magazines.
Okay. But whatever it is, they had told me they thought it was paper and cardboard, corrugated. I think they said paper and corrugated, but I'll check and make sure before we post it. Is that good enough?
Yes, and what I'll need is the information, if we have changes, I try to update all those changes and who to send that to for the county to make sure that that's updated, because that can happen. That can happen often, especially with everything that's going on. I know that Spectra is adding plastic and making some changes, so I can update that myself, so I just need to know who to send all that to so they can update all that.
Okay, so we'll get all of this out to the citizens, and that actually, I guess that sort of begins item number 1. I will now stand for anything, if any of the rest of you have any statements, comments, which direction you desire we go from this point forward. Guys, that's what we're here for, is to come up with ideas. It doesn't mean every idea we come up with is going to work. But the only way we're going to know to look at them is put them out there and look at them.
Mr. Chairman, one of my concerns is with the elimination of the Maryville City recycling centers for county residents no longer are able to drop off all recyclable materials, because I know that glass is still recyclable material, if I'm not mistaken, but there is not a single location anywhere in the county that accepts glass except for the city of Maryville. And I would like for us to entertain at least contacting somebody to put at the one county property where there is recycling at the MacArthur Road, a single stream center there, to where we could put in where they would collect everything that's recyclable in a single stream dumpster. Now, you said you wanted some discussion, so I'm throwing something out there.
I do, I guess, but do what with it? If we have no one to do the single stream, and do what with it once we've got it gathered up there?
No, either to put out a request for a proposal or an organization to come forward saying that they would like to put a dumpster out there that we don't have to maintain. They'll service it, they'll do single stream. I think we need to encourage somebody. I know Goodwill is here, they do full collection. I know that Spectra at one time did glass. I don't know if they'd still be interested, but we need to encourage somebody to, because how can we have a recycling program if we're being discriminatory in our recycling? So that's something I would like to look at.
Not having one available isn't being discriminatory.
Well, we're discriminating against glass.
No, we're not discriminating. We just don't have the opportunity for it. I will say this. You brought up the MacArthur Road. Currently, we only have 4 options there. Whereas if you look down there at the Spectra building as well as at the county landfill, you have many more options available. You are correct. Currently, we do not.
Okay.
We do need to reach out. On glass. And to be quite honest with you, one of the options that I have had relayed to me is we need to contact the industrial board and see if the industrial board can in fact recruit a glass recycler to this area.
Mr. Chairman, would that be the same, if I may jump in here, would that be
Certainly.
the same as Mr. Burkhalter's suggestion about putting out a request for
An
proposal?
RFP, yes, sir.
And since the industrial board does that as a part of their daily existence, that might be a good way to get it started, and their contact list and range of contacts would probably be greater than we could reach just off the top of our...
Okay, I will stand for a motion to forward to the industrial board the idea of putting out a request for proposal in an effort to receive feedback for glass recycling for the county.
Now, the only question I would have there, would that be glass recycling or would that be single stream, which would
We can
cover
do it
everything?
however you want to. Right now, single stream, we need to separate the two. What has been brought up is there's no place to recycle glass.
Exactly.
We have a place to recycle everything else. we need to do, if we're going to do it, Mr. Lael, can we do it two separate things, please?
Sure. Yeah,
Instead
I
of
just wanted
mixing
us
it
to
all
make a
together?
distinction on that because one or the other option may turn out to be the best. If we're just
Yes, sir.
looking to do glass, that leaves off maybe some other particular options. And if we do single stream, that covers everything, but that's not very specific in
Yes,
a
sir.
sense, you know, as far as that
But,
might
but
pique
if we
someone's
request
interest.
only single stream, that's all we'll get.
Okay, that's what, yeah.
So, let's do step one first. Ask them to please request a proposal for glass
Okay.
and attempt to recruit someone in the area to actually recycle glass. So I'll stand for a motion for that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Burkhalter, second. Mr.
I will second.
or Miss. I apologize. Now, on this, if we do this and ask the industrial board to put this together and request proposal, then furnish it back to this body, this isn't something we will get quickly,
No, you're
okay?
right.
So we'll have to remember that when we schedule our next meeting, okay?
Question.
Yes, sir.
I guess I'm thinking out loud here. According to Maryville City Manager McLean, the city is eventually going to get away from recycling centers. Would we agree on that? The recycling center that is adjacent to the Justice Center seems to be a good location. I know it sees a lot of use. The city already has an agreement with Rock 10, correct? Would we want to pursue possibly taking over that site? And if it was
Absolutely, but-
financially feasible,
Certainly.
because it's well recognized, it's identified, the pad, the concrete, the driveway, everything's already there. I don't know, do you all own the?
No.
May I ask? a question?
Maryville College owns it.
No, I'm talking about the containers.
Okay.
You own the containers? Okay.
One thing we spoke about, and if we want to stay real quick, is possibly moving to a compact type situation. And I can talk about this to you later about some of the things that we can propose.
Do you have those available?
We can get those.
Okay. Thank you.
And in line with that, I'm sure if the industrial board puts out an RFP, you guys will be receiving that. And you will be furnished that information, given an opportunity to respond back. Okay? All right, all in favor of forwarding this on to the industrial board? Please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, now, would you also like to forward a request for,
Single stream
Yes, sir.
recycling. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would make
I'll
that
take
motion.
that as a motion. Do I have a second?
You have the second.
Okay, any questions on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay.
That should cover all our bases as we know them at this point, as far as to begin the investigation.
To begin the investigation of, number one, the one thing we can't handle right now at any of our locations, it will cover that. Number two is the idea of single stream, which obviously we do not have available at any of these locations.
Exactly.
So is that good with this body? Yes. Good with that? Okay. Let's move forward then. Ms. DeShay, please interrupt me. You know more about this than any of us. And please feel free to jump in and respond. Okay?
Okay.
Now, as for Mr. Dixon, and sir, I'm sorry.
Derek Center.
Okay, sir. When we get to the end of the meeting on input, public input, I will recognize you guys, and if you've got something to put into this, I'll give you an opportunity to do so at that time, okay? And also, now, you're Miss Graham, correct? Okay, and I will do the same with you. All right? And anyone else that wishes to speak, we'll allow you to speak. All right? You may hear something that we may be wrong on something. We'll certainly give you an opportunity to correct us. Okay? All right. Now, the recycling centers and drop-offs, we've handled that. We get it put on there what we currently have. And this might be something, obviously, that's good for all of us to have. I intend to hold on to it. And when we get it updated just a little bit, we'll print some more of those out. So,
One more question.
yes, sir.
Before we move on to the next item, is there anything that we need to do in the way of a motion or decision in regard to moving forward with trying to find out exactly what the city's time frame is as far as abandoning that site there next to the Justice Center and moving forward with that?
Absolutely. Now, if you want to make a motion to, well, let's put it this way. The last time yes, Mr. Shea?
I mean, he just had said 1 to 2 years, and he just told me, actually, I went to a solid waste board authority meeting the other day, and it was the same thing. So I don't think they have, from what I'm aware, a specific date. It was a 1 to 2 year time frame. But I do believe I would believe from just how he's talking about it, would be more towards the 1 year than the 2.
I know they're eager.
Also, we were told that we'd be notified before they cut out the county residents, and, oh well. Okay, would you like for this body to forward a letter to the city of Maryville and ask what their timeline is, sir?
Ask them if they have one.
I will
So
stand
that-
for a motion in that manner. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay.
Good. I guess that even if it is a year or longer, like you said, this is not something that's going to take place overnight. That would give us time to prepare for whatever it is we need to do instead
And
of.
if in fact they are going to move a compactor in up there or something like that, because it's my understanding this is actually under agreement that Maryville College owns that property.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Blount County owns the property surrounding it. Maryville College owns part of the property. We've not had it surveyed.
Sorry, could you give the address of that again, please, of the one that you're, I want to ask about?
It's the one there next to the Justice Center. I don't know what the exact address is, but behind
Thompson
Thompson
Brown
Brown
House.
House, yes.
And
And, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say in that same letter, if they have a copy of the contract that they had executed with Maryville College for the lease of that property, they forward that to us as well, so we can understand what terms may or may not be inside of that
are
contract.
you good with that?
I'm good with that, yeah.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Did we vote?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Passes. I'm sorry, I was giving her time to write it down.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I figured anyone who could finagle with electronics could do all this other stuff too. One other comment, question, and this may not be the proper place for this. One of the things we've heard with the existing recycling centers, and one of the things Maryville has made a big point of, is that there has been a continuation of a pileup or a mess created around some of the recycling centers that currently exist. And I'm wondering, at this point in time, Mr. Shea, and you probably would be the one I'm addressing this to, is it possible to find someone in each of those communities or areas that is adjacent to that?
A volunteer, Mr. Lamb?
I was getting to the word volunteer. there,
Okay.
Okay. Who would just go by, not on any really, but go by and look at it, or may pass on the way home from work each day or something like that. Maybe give you a call if, say, this particular center is overflowing, so that maybe from your standpoint, you could, I don't know, or you could do an email to whoever is the company that's, you know.
May I take that a step
let them
further?
know. And that might help alleviate that without, there wouldn't be an additional cost or anything or to that, but it would be contingent upon identifying folks who would be willing to sort of take that on.
Well, the other sites that Spectra has set up, he works out an agreement with wherever the bins are located, that the people that they are responsible to keep that site clean, not the recycler, because they run in and out and empty those. And so, like for example, where they have it at Lowe's would be the ones who make sure that they keep that site clean, big lots and such. And that's why you don't see, you know, a whole lot of litter and problems with those areas, because they have employees out there checking those areas, so they set those agreements up. And I believe the problem with these city sites is before now, they've not had anybody out there. They've always been open all throughout the whole entire time. It's located in a darker, you know, kind of area. And that's why they've had such a problem in those sites. You know, because Rock 10 is not really a hauler, but they take them in and out, and they just come in there and empty them, you know, when they need it. But the locations that those sites are at, they're good, of course, to have your bins there, but they're not good because you don't have anybody there on a continual basis checking them out and seeing what's going on. So we had actually talked about sending volunteers to some of the city sites. Of course, the city says no, they don't want volunteers over there. So, but they would normally occasionally have, you know, people in the city go check them out. I just don't believe it was often enough. So I think in situations where you're having bins put there, I really think it's conducive to have a group or employees that are around that site constantly checking it out, because if it is a popular site, it can get out of control very quickly. And as we've seen in the past with both of the programs that they've had over at the city, and also some of the Spectra sites, if they're heavily used sites, sometimes they can't get there quick enough to get them, you know, emptied. So having an employee there or something like that, or, you know, business watching it is really, really the best way to handle those.
How many sites would we have that would not necessarily have, how many sites would we have that would not come under that criterion? That is, the employee that, like a community club like Chilhai View, there's not an employee of Chilhai View Community Club. But
Can I throw something in there on that?
Sure, yeah.
Not meaning to interrupt you, but you're on a roll. I like where you're going with this. But stop and think about the signs you see on the road that says this section of the highway adopted by XYZ company.
Boy Scout Troop 36.
Right.
Yeah.
Why could we not let those places like you're talking about that don't have an employee, let some agency out here adopt them?
Yeah.
And let that be their pet project,
And
that
it could
every
be a
Saturday.
group at the center or whatever.
Yeah,
whoever
I mean,
they're
I
doing
can
it.
imagine that there would be
Yeah.
lots of organizations out there that would love to put a sign up and say this dump site or this recycling site adopted by blah, blah, blah. And I think they, as passionate as people are in Blount County about recycling, I think that might be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah,
That could be
that's a
good.
great idea.
Who does, do y'all do that? Are y'all the ones that does that where it's
We
sponsored
actually
by?
run the Adopt a Mile, TDOT runs Adopt a Highway, and the stormwater departments run Adopt a Stream.
Well, can we possibly request Keep Blount Beautiful
Yeah, we could look at something like that.
To run Adopt a Site.
adopt a center?
Adopt a site,
Because
yeah.
we were thinking it like Adopt a Spot, you
Yeah.
know, and different
Okay.
things.
Sorry, Commissioner Lay, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt
no,
you.
you're great.
When I
That,
get something on my brain, I got to say it.
well, no,
Well,
that was a great thought and filled in a gap there. We were kind of going in a direction there, so.
And then you would have, like, we have certain requirements for them to adopt a road.
Sure.
You know, they have to go out so many times, and you just have certain guidelines and check, make sure they're doing their job, or their sign gets taken down.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Shea, in line with Mr. Lael's question, comment, suggestion, would you mind looking into that and bringing that back to this committee in the future, ma'am?
Maybe like the cost of signs and things like that, yeah.
Sure.
And,
Great,
and
thank you.
the possibility, since you do handle the Adopt a Mile through Keep Blount Beautiful, if you can resonate interest in the possibility of Adopt a Site
Okay.
for recycling centers and see it with volunteers.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Lael, you were on a roll there. Is there anything else?
No,
before
I
go to
ju- I
Mr.
just
Shea?
was thinking about their role as a clearinghouse for so many things involved with this type of program, and was trying to put one and one together. The problem that we've heard a lot of is that sometimes these places get overpacked and overpiled and, and all this other stuff. And if there was a monitoring system put into place that it would help both the people who are responsible for picking it up, because there'll be times that a certain site will have more business than another. And this would just be, you know, low key, but it would still be, I think, effective. And your idea even took it a step further with making it a responsibility of a particular group. And then, you know, along with Mike's idea there, that took the idea to the next level. So I think that's a great start to begin with there. So.
And the more convenient sites you have for people, the less problem you will have
Create recognition
with that. Because if you have them, and I mean, I think the problem with the city sites is they had 3 of them, and most people were using those, you know, county and city, and that was just too many people for the amount of sites that they have. So if you have enough sites strategically located around the county, you know, where it wasn't that inconvenient and not as many people using those, you probably won't have as many problems. Although I know there are unmanned sites, you're always going to have trash and different items always in those if they're unmanned, no matter what you do. I mean, I've been there and I've seen it many, many times. And that's always a problem.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on, update regarding the recycling center at the landfill. Do we have any additional information on it other than what has been furnished thus far by Mr. Shea? If you look in your packet, you will find the intergovernmental or interlocal agreement between Maryville, Alcoa, and Blount County on the use of the property.
Mr. Chairman, is it proper this time to bring up that agreement? Because the agreement, to me, I mean, are we, under our purview, are we allowed to make recommendations to improve the agreement between the 3?
Yeah, I sort of think, well, actually, no, we need to do that at the full commission. We could forward something.
Can we
here.
make a recommendation?
Yeah, we can make a recommendation, go back to the full commission, yes.
The reason I say this is because when you read the contract and you read the addendum that was done in 1991, in 1991 it moves the full cost of the operation of the center to the city of Alcoa. But it also says that all of the proceeds that come in from the operations go to the city of Alcoa. Now, it only specifies grants are to go into a lockbox, but the tipping fees are to go to offset the cost of operations. But it doesn't address any money that Alcoa would receive from selling off the recyclables or from the mining of methane gases. And so I was curious if we can make a recommendation that says that on Section 2A of the amendment, that any and all revenues generated from the operation of the landfill are to go to offset the operational costs and equipment costs of the landfill, and shall be, I haven't really fully thought about it because I just got the contract 30 minutes before we sat down tonight. But I think we need to put in there the fact that the costs that come from recycling, the costs that come from the mining of methane gases need to be handled the same way as the state grants and the tipping fees are. They are locked funds only for that one activity. And those funds can only be used to offset the cost of operating the landfill.
In essence, Mr. Burkhalter, what you are bringing forward really doesn't have anything to do with this committee, but in reviewing this agreement, that is sort of a blaring thing because no one has dealt with that.
Well, the title of our committee is solid waste and recycling. Well, this is solid waste. And so that's the reason why I was asking if it's underneath our purview to bring up, because I'd like to recommend it to the full commission.
It's definitely under our purview. I mean, the item I was at on the agenda was regarding the recycling center at the landfill. But now, this is definitely under our purview to request this.
Then the second question that comes up is if we go ahead and forward a request to the full commission to address the deficiency that I perceive in the amendment from 1991, does that automatically sunset this committee because we are an ad hoc committee making a recommendation, and by commission rules, when an ad hoc committee makes a recommendation, that committee has sunset. So do we need to wait until we have finished our full purview before we make any recommendations?
We would have to have completed a recommendation on recycling also.
Okay.
Before we terminate the call of the ad hoc committee.
Okay.
Because it is to study solid waste and recycling in Blount County.
Just trying to get clarification. I don't want to make a recommendation and then at the full commission they say, well, since it forwarded a recommendation, it has now been sunset and we haven't finished the recycling side.
No, as I see it, we could forward several recommendations once something is adopted by the full commission for the county on solid waste and recycling.
Okay.
Then our call is complete.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So I would like to make a recommendation to amend
to forward to the full commission.
To forward to the full commission a recommendation to amend the intergovernmental agreement dated July 26th of 1991.
You got this?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Sure.
Do you think that we should talk to the director of the landfill and have him explain how everything works
Well,
first?
the only reason I'm going to say this is because also in this agreement, it says that the landfill is to never accept tires.
To put in the landfill?
But it doesn't specify that. It says they're never to take tires.
See, I read that, and I read it as in they are not to be landfilled.
I agree. I understand what
But
you're
you're saying
saying.
the wording on they have it
The
on
wording
here
that they
is
came
kind of
back in
different.
1991 before
Okay.
recycling ever became an issue is, in 1991, whoever would have thought about mining methane gases out
Yeah.
of a landfill.
Yeah.
In 1991, I don't know how popular recycling tires were. So I'm saying if we're going to address the contract, let's get any and all ambiguities out of the way.
Not 40%.
So,
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I will second his motion, and then I'd like to have a point of discussion here. In terms of this agreement, there is a committee already in place that deals directly with the landfill and some of the issues down there, okay?
Solid Waste Committee.
Solid Waste Committee. So we might be skirting, I'm just talking in terms of protocol, and so we might want to consider that as we go forward with this idea. Although I agree completely with where we're headed with this, that we might be kind of stepping on another set of toes. Now, that committee's made up of two, I think, of our commissioners and made up of representatives from each of the cities that are involved. Okay, and so that might be something or an avenue we might want to pursue at that point. The other point of discussion here, and again, I will say I agree with the intent of the direction that we've started with in looking at this. I don't know if you guys recall or not, but I made a request several months ago for information regarding the mining of methane and so forth from the landfill and what impact that would have in terms of, because we've had in the last few years an increase the tipping fee, et cetera, and so forth, and then yet we're selling the methane mining, and I've never really gotten a good answer. I've gotten it, well, it's not making much money, but that doesn't really you know.
It's about
Well-
$3,000 a month.
Yeah. But, yeah, well, that's the most specific number I've been able to
Oh,
get.
that's the number I've been given. I mean,
Okay.
they try to tell me almost everything that's going on because we have to
I
educate
can't
about it.
imagine that the corporate structure that's put together down there will do that for only 3,000 a month, but we'll go with that.
Well, in
And that's-
essence,
that's
in
going on a
essence,
tangent
what,
a little bit.
from this committee's viewpoint, this will be forwarded to the full commission.
Right.
It'll be handed to the full commission at that point.
All right,
Okay.
this sounds fine, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
thank you.
And in line with that, since this is an agreement of 1991, and one of the things brought up, of course, was the tires.
Right.
And I'm sure there have been some amendments somewhere along the line that may not have been furnished to all of the recipients of the interlocal documents. And that's something that we do need to get updated, because it clearly states in here they'll take 12 a year from you. Whereas it states in 91, no, you can't. So we need to sort of get everything current, and we'll run that.
And
We have a
again-
motion to forward this to the full commission in the form of a request from, or a request to review and possible action
Okay.
on the interlocal agreement on the landfill.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And we also need to, of course, keep copied in this solid waste. Honestly, guys, I hate to tell you, I've been here 12 years. I don't know who serves as our reps on the solid waste committee, because I've never heard anything from them.
Gerald Kirby and Peggy Lambert.
Okay.
I thought, yeah, these two, Kirby and Lambert, I think, is that right, Ms. Pitts?
Okay. Were they at the meeting the other night? Did you attend their meeting the other night, Mr. Shea?
Oh, yeah, it was the other day, and Gerald Kirby was there.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen Peggy there before.
Okay. All right. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Now, let's go onward with, update regarding the recycling at the landfill. Mr. Shea, do we have any update on the landfill other than what is currently posted, that is available there? Okay.
This is updated, and I'm not sure who takes the recycling. Does anybody here take the landfill's recycling? I don't know who picks it up. I thought it, yeah.
We stopped in 2011.
Okay. We're so low.
Items we were focused on were virtually non-existent. So little was taken out there. Now, they do a good bit.
Excuse me, Mr. Dixon, let me recognize you, please. Will you come up to the microphone? What I need to for everybody to understand, everything in this room is live screened, and if you don't speak into a microphone, you can't be heard. And I have, and what will happen is there's a camera sitting back there, and these people up here are talking, and whoever's watching it online is saying, what's being said? So now, would you please
Okay,
respond?
excuse me, I didn't understand your protocol here, but that's fine. We did the landfill's recovery of the paper products, cardboard products, plastics and metal, cans, those sort of things, containers, for about 10 years, I guess. It was a very low productivity site, probably a load a quarter came out of there. In 2011, we stopped, 10 or 11, I think it was 11, we stopped doing it. And I really haven't been out there to see what has gone on since then. In those areas, I don't think anybody's doing anything. I know for things like appliances and tires and some of the other things, they do have some collection going on, and cylinders and some different things, and fairly good collection of those type things. I think that people are bringing the garbage out and they're taking these things out of their garbage over there, and they're mostly larger items. But as far as them having containers out there and people doing recycling out there, it's never been attractive to the public to go out there and do that, as far as we could tell, and it was not a successful location, and it was abandoned kind of under mutual agreement.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Lael?
Yes, sir. Just point of information, if properly promoted, if that's a good word, could it have the potential to be a productive producer of this type of recycling material? You're experienced in this business, so would that see something with a little promotion?
I don't think it would be greatly productive. Convenience seems to be the issue here, particularly with the 411 site, which we also did that site for 10 years. In 2011, we withdrew from that also. The main issue, as I see it, is focusing down on the southeast portion of the county. That seems to be where I'm hearing most of the conversations from. And we've been kind of following the flow of this, and apparently when Maryville cut back, they handed out a yellow flyer, told them to bring it to some of our sites, which was a total shock to us. And so we're right now kind of in a rebound, adjusting on that, kind of to see what the flows are, what the volumes are going to be. The demand seems to be down in that area. There's demand all over the county, but it's fairly well met in the other areas. Now, on your solid waste authority with the landfill, some things in 91 that your agreement did not address was the towns of Townsend, Louisville, Rockford, and those towns, and what they're doing. I know 2 of those towns right now are looking at setting up recycling. And Rockford tried it, and then kind of give it up a little bit down there, because they really wasn't set up very well for it. Plus they're convenient to the county operations center, those citizens, if they wanted to utilize that. So I think the real burden area is between Maryville and the Wallen Townsend area over there. Is where I'm hearing most of the citizen comments and requests coming from. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Burkholder? Oh, your light's on. Okay, we'll move forward then. Mr. Shea, Keep America Beautiful grant.
It's all in your packet, the information. I'm trying to find mine. Basically, this grant, where's my sheet? Yeah, that's it right there. No, I have it here. I just got everything mixed around. Is that what it is? Let me share it. Oh, here it is. This is a waste management Think Green grant, and it's for recycling, specifically for recycling programs. They're awarding 10,000 grants. That has to be in by June 12th. And you can read what they are covering in those. Start of new recycling programs, community drop-off programs, collections, any public education, things like that. So I would think that if the county was looking at, having to pay for sites or needing supplies for sites or anything like that, or having media or public education for those sites, that's what we could use this grant for. The good thing is I noticed it was just specifically for recycling. So we would have to come up with a plan, what we would want to be able to use this money for before June 12th, so I would be able to have time to enter it. Normally these grants aren't that complicated to get entered, but we have to have a pretty good plan in place, to be able to apply for it.
So would part of the grant, if we were to do a public education campaign focusing on all the community recycling centers that we have, if we Are you talking about where we could use that grant money to buy
Or any matching?
advertising space, to buy billboard space, to do any type of a public education program? We just
Yes.
have to have a plan in place, and then we can use that money to offset the cost of educating the public. Is that correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Or those signs that said this site monitored by Chevrolet
Yes.
Club? Would
Yes.
that, would that
And-
fall into that type of?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I need a motion to forward to the Budget Committee and the full commission to grant authority for Mr. Shea to apply for this grant for this committee. So I'll stand for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to have
Got
Mr.
that.
Shea apply, to seek approval from the Budget Committee and the full commission for Mr. Shea to apply for the $10,000 KAB Waste Management Think Green Recycling Grant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And now we'll go forward to this. In line with that, once we need to determine how we would like for Mr. Shea to apply, and that should be the responsibility of this committee. Do we need to specify, in your opinion, what we intend to use the money for, ma'am?
Yes. We'll need to come up with a budget, what we intend to use it for. And then we have to address all of the items here, you know, your plan for media outreach, your community need, which we can express already what our community need is, the goals and objectives, like what we plan to have done. And it looks like the applications are due June 12th. The winners would be notified August 1st. And the project must be complete by June 5th, 2014. So you would have a good amount of time to get the program in place. And I don't think that we don't necessarily have to have all that we're, with the time frame that we have to figure out all that we want to do. But what I'll do is I can come up with some, if you guys can, we can have some information about what you would like in some of these, to answer some of these questions. I could probably go ahead and get something pulled together, and maybe present at the next meeting.
Okay, ma'am. If that's good with this body, then what we will do is ask Mr. Shea to please do that. We will need to set another meeting, probably about a month out when we get to that point. That would be in May. That would allow us time. We could get response back from the Budget Committee and the full commission that they're okay with us applying for the grant.
And the grant,
Budget Committee meets May the 6th.
That's
The
the regular
Agenda
meeting,
Committee
but they're meeting
meets
every
May the
Monday.
7th, full commission on the 16th. Would y'all like to set this meeting for about May 21?
The following Monday or following
That's
Tuesday?
following Tuesday. That would allow about 2 weeks for it to be written, proofed, and presented.
can I ask you a question
Yes,
about the
ma'am.
grant? With me not knowing how everything works, the grant would come to Keep Blount Beautiful, and Keep Blount Beautiful would spend the money. So, because with being a Keep America Beautiful grant, that's how they always want things to work. I don't know if that was clear. Okay. And did you have to have everything approved if we are receiving the grant? Because how I would list it in the grant is that the Blount County government would be a partner
Yeah.
that we would work with through the grant, but we would get the money specifically.
But we still would have to approve a partnership. We ran into this
Okay.
problem a couple of
Yeah.
years ago when we partnered with
I
Bingo.
would rather.
I just want to make sure, because I
Yes,
don't really
ma'am.
know
I
how
would
things
rather
work.
err on the side of caution.
Okay.
If we're going to be involved in it, I would much rather go ahead and present it to everyone. There will be no problem with it, but that will keep us in the confines of our rules.
Okay.
And I know we have approved some of your grants, your applications and your use of grants in the past.
Okay. It's probably before I came aboard, wasn't it?
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah, like the litter grant.
We might have zero fiscal price tag with it, but we are still going to be a partner with it, so we still have to get the
Okay.
commission
Yes, ma'am.
approval.
Okay, I just want to make sure I know how everything.
And of course, obviously, if we set that for May 21,
That is going to come to us. I think it's going to, I just want to make sure we have that partnership.
that will be one item on the agenda coming up.
Because it doesn't say that.
Got
we-
that here? All right, thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't say that there has to be any other monies put forward. And, you know,
Right.
It just says we can.
Yeah, no matching funds, so I think that's an excellent program. If we could, this is
Yeah.
coming at a nice time. We got a great article where 55% of the county employees or county citizens were turned away, so there's definitely a need out
And that's
there.
something that we can submit with our grant to show them
Here you go.
what kind of problems we're having.
Ms.
I
King, is
got
it okay if I give her a copy of this paper?
I
so
got
she
it.
can?
I got it at my office.
When did you lose control?
Talk at a time. When you finish talking, turn your light off. Number 2, we got to talking, did we have a motion to forward this request to the budget committee? And do we have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. I have a very narrow concentration line. Yes, sir, Mr. Burkhalter.
I just wanted to tell the chair I was sorry for speaking out of line.
We'll go onward now. And item number 4, that takes care of it. We will move to item number 5, information regarding the current recycling provider services. And what you have in your packet now, I think, is the contract we currently have with Spectra. Is that correct, Mr. Dixon? Yes. Okay, sir. And that is up for renewal effective June 30th, 2013. Correct? No, sir. It's renewed and rolled over each year, and the length of it will continue till 2015 if it is renewed each year. Shows a renewal. It should be signed off on and sent to you for renewal effective June 30th. And I'd say you've gotten one of those around middle of April or 1st of May the last 2 years. Okay. All right, that is currently in your packet. And to be honest with you, if you have any questions on it, you might want to look over it and see what is currently being provided. And now, I may be speaking out of turn since Miss King isn't here. Miss King was the one involved with it early on, and I think Ms. DeShay. This was originally established with a grant, correct? Okay, is that grant still in place?
No.
That's what I thought. So it's currently being paid for by?
Is there a cost? I didn't think there was a cost to it. I think what they had spent with the grant monies was the containers, but Steve would know.
Okay. Well, that's something we don't know.
Okay.
Sitting here, we don't know whether it's
No,
cost or not.
here's basically, the contract that we have with the county is a no cost
Okay.
to the county agreement. The county had a grant. Sometimes we lease containers and things to the counties, but the county did not want to lease the containers. They had a grant that they purchased some containers. And I should have read that before I came down here today, so I'm working off a couple years back memory here. They went out for requests for proposals, and we offered a no-cost program to them, and they bought some dumpsters and things that they did that with. Those are not involved in these recycling centers at all. What that does is the office paper collections at the courthouse and some other county buildings. and a cardboard dumpster at these buildings where the county recycles its cardboard. That is all that agreement covered. And like I said, they bought the dumpsters. That we're actually loaning them our containers, as a matter of fact, for the inside the building. Those are loaned to them at no charge.
And so the dumpsters currently at these
Yeah, you have
locations-
about 4 or 5, and I'm working from memory, so I'm not
Okay.
exactly accurate. You have one sitting out on this side of the courthouse. You have one at the Justice Center. You have one at the library. You have one at the Operations Center. There may be another one somewhere that you own, but where?
School central office, the schools.
Okay, did they put
the
one there?
central office, it says
Okay.
it on here.
Okay, that's probably the other one then. And then they also bought some containers that they gave to the school. These are the little bitty 14-yard that you put under your desk sort of things. They bought some of those and passed some of those out somewhere, but then I think a lot of the money was spent on some energy stuff here in the courthouse and some other things. That was what was brought with the grant, and that was kind of separate of our service. That was just something that they wanted to do, to not be paying any rental on containers or anything.
Okay. So what we're currently looking at on this is the recycling dumpster out back, the one at the central office, two of them currently at the operations center, one at the library,
Justice Center.
and one at the Justice Center. That'd be the 5
Right,
locations.
and they're basically 8 cubic yard front load dumpsters, if that means anything to you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Mr. Dixon a question about this?
Now would be the time. That way he doesn't have to walk back and come back.
Inside of your proposal, which I know you don't, I have the benefit of having in front of me. It says that you'll provide for drink bottles and cans, which
Yeah, that's being done.
but a lot of drink bottles are now being made out of glass
Okay.
instead of plastic. Can you tell me why we don't have glass recycling?
Okay, sure. Okay, first off, it comes down to the fact that we designed a program that was low cost, no cost to the county.
Okay.
Okay? And that's what they were focused on. We will accept glass from the county with the bottles and cans. However, at the convenience centers that we have set up, which again, the county is not involved in, other than one, and we'll talk about that in a second. Glass is not profitable. Short and long of it. Green glass crushed and delivered to Atlanta will bring about $6 a ton, and I haven't looked at it in a couple of months, but that's about where I'm going to say it's at. The brown and clear glasses bring a little more, but we have glass crushing equipment, we have the packaging equipment. We just kind of put it in one of my warehouses and stored it. We do a little bit for some contract people for pay, but at $5 a ton to go out here and collect it, bring it into my facility, crush it, either put it in a container, transport it to Atlanta, and deliver it, you can imagine I'm losing a ton of money. So in order to go to a no-cost program, and in some places we do some revenue sharing with people too, we just eliminated glass. Now we tell people we will take glass from you for a fee, and then we process those individually. But that's kind of why we got out of that. We took glass as long as we were doing Maryville and Alcoa's processes. It was a money loser, but we were making money on the other end of the materials. So when we got out of that, that was the largest volume that we were doing. And we do for some other counties too, and they don't do glass. So it just streamlined better with our program. And we have the capacity, we can do it. if there's a financial reward.
Mr. Dixon, before you sit down.
Sure.
Let me clarify one thing. You did say you had to deliver glass to Atlanta?
Yes, that's where we take it to.
Is that the closest spot?
Again, I quit focusing on this after 2011. There may be a place in Jackson, Tennessee to take it, but the closest one that we were dealing with consistently was a place in Atlanta.
I can tell you Jackson is farther than
Yeah, a little bit
Atlanta.
further away, isn't it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we actually have nothing in East Tennessee.
That's where your guys go to? They go the same place. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Then that was sort of the point with the charge to the industrial board to look into that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Do they need to recommend this to anybody? The contract renewal spectrum?
Well, I'm real curious. That's something, Miss DeShay, I need your assistance on something, ma'am. Miss DeShay, will you hit your button 1 second, please? I need your assistance on something. When this grant was put in place, who was signatory on this and who set up the initial contract with
I believe it
Spectrum?
was Dana West, if I'm not mistaken.
She is no longer an employee.
I know.
So was this done through, I guess at that time that would have been Miss Hackney, or was Miss Johnson in purchasing?
I'll bring something there. Talking with that contract now?
Yes, sir. Right now, it's being done through purchasing and Miss Johnson, correct? Because I see Valerie Cunningham as the signatory on it. Okay.
Purchasing, and a proposal went out for multiple things. They had received several proposals, and they went through the whole process.
Okay. So what I'm looking at, I'm sort of curious on this renewal, who's signatory on it?
I would have I don't know. You think Jody would know? She was the one who worked on
I
that
will
also.
take it upon myself to meet with purchasing and find out. Do you know who signed off on your renewal the last 2 years, sir?
No, I have a copy of it. I can look at it and get back.
Okay, I'll check with them and find out, and I'll put it in
I don't know.
for next meeting. It's the only thing I know to do. I mean, there is a copy of it in here. In your packet, there's a copy of the renewal, but it does not say who's supposed to sign off on it to renew it.
So we'll just put on the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am. It'll have to be on the next meeting. And I can assure you, Fred Martin's not the one doing it.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It says sign down there with the committee, but it doesn't say anything about who on the front
I know.
page who would do that.
That's my point. I'll go to purchasing and find out. Because, have you received the renewal, Mr.?
Yes. I remember receiving it because I went through the process of getting insurance certificates and that sort of thing.
Well, I guess I'll find out who renewed it. Okay, we'll put that on the next meeting if that's all right with you guys. Okay, now, as far as the other providers who are here, Ms. Graham, would you come to the microphone 1 second, please, ma'am? Did someone from your organization address us at our last meeting?
Yes, Jack Horner is the VP of Recycling for
Okay,
Goodwill.
that was my understanding. Now, on what we have discussed tonight and the RFP that will be put out by the Industrial Board, will you and your colleagues respond to that, ma'am? Request for proposal on the single streaming and things like that?
We would not pick up, we contract out with other, I guess, solid waste management. We only supply at the centers employees to look after the site. I believe that's what we were trying to go for, as providing you with employees for the sites and the centers with the mess that was being complained about.
Okay, I understand more clearly what you're referring to now. So in other words, until we have the sites set up, that's when you would become interested?
Yes.
Okay.
We just do the single stream in Morristown right now.
Okay,
So,
okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, sir. Would you mind coming up 1 second, please, sir? And introduce yourself, if you would, please.
Derek Center with Rock 10. We got involved with the city of Maryville. Just going to, I guess, kind of go over what it is we've been doing, just to make you a little more aware. Started them on single stream back in March of last year. When I approached them about the initial setup of that program, it was a little bit of trepidation there because I had no idea what they were going to produce. Obviously, as you've seen over the course of the last year, the amount of material they have received has doubled. I believe the first month that they started, they were producing about 90 tons of material. Up until they cut the county off, they were up well over 200 tons per month of material. That includes glass as well. We set a special program up with them. It's not very lucrative for us. We're hauling it at no cost to them, not charging them for the containers, but it was just to get the word out to this whole community what single stream can do for your landfill avoidance, for one thing, as well as increased participation big time because it's so simple. You're not having to put this here and this here and this here. You know, you throw it all in one thing and you're done with it. With the hopes that once they saw how much it took off, they would move into the curbside area, which I think they are kind of trying to look at this point. I can tell you, since they cut the county off, we've seen a pretty good drop in their material. It's still a lot of material, and it's still worth servicing, but it has dropped. The county was a good portion of what they were receiving at their convenience center. So I think there is opportunity for Blount County to get involved in that process, whatever it takes for you guys to get to that point. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I'm going to naturally assume that if you have the opportunity to respond on a request for a proposal, that Rock 10 would be interested in doing so.
Definitely.
Thank you, sir. That's the only question I had, Mr.
Yeah,
Taylor.
but do you have other sites?
Yes. Yes. Just in Tennessee alone, we've got 2 other single stream facilities. Knoxville was the first one that Rock 10 put in. Since then, they've kind of tweaked it a little bit, and I'd invite all of you out to our facility to see how it works. It's a combination of both manual labor and automation. We've got magnets, eddy currents, screens, and some optical as well. I'd invite y'all all out to see how it works. It's pretty
Where are you located?
Near the New Sentinel, Proctor Street, between Western and Middlebrook. I'll get each of you on my cards after. Yeah.
Realistically, if you would email something to Miss Pitts in the County Commission office.
Sure.
Miss Pitts will give you her address. I think the members sitting here, would you enjoy going to witness that, Mr. Shea?
I've actually went up there
Just
3
a few weeks ago. Yeah.
to tour it.
Well, the four,
I went
the
before
four
this,
of
so I would
us
know what
have
I
been
was doing.
sheltered and left behind. I think some of us would really enjoy seeing it and seeing what we're actually talking about. Single stream to me seems like a simple idea, but I know absolutely nothing about it. The rest of them may know a great deal about it.
Well, seeing the facility will kind of give you an idea of why you can do certain things and why this is okay and this isn't, things of this nature. So.
Would you accompany us if we receive a request to go, ma'am?
Oh,
and could set up
absolutely.
a time? Okay.
It's very interesting with the whole mechanisms that he's talking about.
One more question. We were talking earlier about the compacting machines. I know that Mr. McLean had indicated to us that was something that was being looked at possibly at one point in time. How expensive of a venture is that?
It depends if you're wanting to go brand new or if you're fine with refurbished.
And is that at county's cost or is that at the provider's cost?
That would be at the county's cost. However, we would work on a possible lease purchase or just a rental if that's what you guys wanted to do. If we get that far down the road, the city had initially looked at that when they were starting to have problems with the amount of material they were getting. We're not a hauler in that regard as far as roll-offs. We've got one truck, and we've got 10 or 12 of those coffin top type bins that we had out for the city of Knoxville previously, and they've kind of cut theirs down as they went to the curbside for their 20,000 homes. So we've had some extra boxes. That's how we got started with Maryville. But I don't know that they're going to go that route now, because it seems, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but just from talking to some of those folks, that they're really looking at the next step. And I believe our contract, where we're obligated to haul it for them for free, is up in August. And so at that point, they may look at a waste hauler to do it, or we don't like to get into the whole charging for hauls thing. It's just extra paperwork that we don't want to do. But
How much capacity do you, how much do you increase your capacity by going to the compactor?
we can get, in our coffin tops, I think we can get up to 2 tons, and that's really packing it in good. Whereas in a compactor, you can get upwards of 5, 6,
Okay.
maybe more.
So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it definitely cuts down on your haul cost.
Okay.
2 to 3 times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're running, we were running, and I haven't got the numbers. This is the first month since the county hasn't been bringing material to those sites, but we were running upwards of 70 to 80 something times a month to the centers, and still couldn't keep up. And we have other customers to service with that one truck. We're more in the tractor trailer business. We've got 12 of those, and we do, things like that. But it's been a good thing for us to get started, and it's been very successful.
One more question, then I'll hush. And this is just a curiosity question, basically just for me. What's the most lucrative recyclable that what do you like to see the most of as far as making money? And that's why you're doing it, is to make money. So
aluminum cans, but unfortunately that only makes up 0.5% to 1% of what we bring in.
What do you bring in most? Paper, cardboard?
OCC, yeah, cardboard.
Okay.
Yep, that's what you see.
Just curious. Thank you.
But in the single stream, the thing you see most is mixed paper, which is everything. That'll make a composition of roughly 58 to 60% of all materials in a single stream feed.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, excuse me. Yes, sir.
I don't know exactly who this question is going to be best to be answered by, but I remember somebody saying that the state was looking at making us reduce down the amount that's actually going to the landfill.
Yeah.
That came from Mr. McLean, and evidently it had come from solid waste, and I asked one of our reps of solid waste, and evidently she wasn't at that meeting.
Does anybody in this room know any more about that, as when the guidelines are, if it's been set, if it's just a recommendation?
I can't give you the exact, I deal with a lot of municipalities, so I've heard about it. I don't know when that goes into effect or if it has. I can get those for you, though.
But it is more than more than Blount County that's hearing the same thing. You've heard it in other municipalities.
It's statewide. It might be nationwide, but it's definitely statewide.
Mr. Shea?
From what I understand from the Solid Waste Board Authority meeting the other day, that they are discussing it. From what I understand, nothing has been.
It's a mandate that's come down from the EPA to the states
Okay.
to reduce the waste, and that mandate has been adopted by the state, and it's putting primary burdens for the counties and municipalities to play with that larger role. And yes, there is a mandate to reduce your waste on the land.
And I guess single stream and recycling would help us reach that reduction.
From what I understand from my meeting the other day is that right now, with the industrial, with the county, and with the recycling that we have and the cities doing it, I may be wrong, but I thought they said that we were at a 78% percentage with the industry and different things that they were doing, which I was very shocked to hear that number the other day. But the landfill keeps track of what everybody recycles every month, and with the curbside program and with the Maryville program, the big part of that is the industrial,
Right.
with the big plants doing the recycling. I may be wrong, but I'm almost positive that's what they were saying the other day, and I was shocked by that number.
And is that, Steve, you may know this too, does that have to do, I don't know if part of it might be some of your funding can get cut if you don't hit these numbers and things of this nature?
Yeah, and on my show. You have an annual report that is sent to Sam Holloway at the landfill from the businesses in Blount County, and he calculates those numbers. They've been going on for some time, many years. And he calculates those numbers and then calculates the amount of materials being reported to him as being recycled in conjunction with what's gone into the landfill. And I haven't talked to him in a couple of years about it, but a few years ago, they were saying they did not have an issue with meeting those requirements. Of course, requirements change and volumes change.
And a follow-up to this is, I don't understand how all the reporting goes, but Rockton, you process yours in Knoxville. Spectre, you're in Blount County. I think Goodwill is in Morristown. So if we are exporting our recyclables to Knoxville or Morristown, is that hurting their numbers and helping us, or how does that work?
I get emails and phone calls from all the municipalities and counties that I deal with each year wanting numbers from us on what we have recycled in their county. So if I'm in Roane County, for instance, and I'm pulling tons from business A, B, C, D, E, and F and the municipalities there, I give them those numbers that they can then add to their numbers to show, okay, we've diverted this much.
So you keep track of down to the county of origin.
Right.
For the recyclable materials. All right, thank you.
Would you like for me to put in our packets the annual report that they?
Absolutely.
Okay. They just told us all about that the other day, so I'll get that from him.
Mr. Shea, obviously you have access to some items that the remainder of us are completely ignorant of. So
Well,
anything that you have you can put in our packet, please do so.
Absolutely. My job is to deal with trash and litter and recycling every day, so that's probably why. It's not always a fun thing.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As it stands right now, we have a few things that we will be sending out, requesting some RFPs going from there. And honestly, to Mr. Dixon, and the rest of you, the Rock 10, I guess it sort of seems amazing to me that if we recycle glass, it's a 4 to 6 hour trip for someone to get rid of it. Absolutely. Please come to the microphone.
Glass is a nightmare. Not only does it have no value, it tears up equipment.
Oh, I agree.
We do glass simply because once we put in the single stream system, we realized that for the municipalities involved, glass weighs a lot. So that in turn diverts a lot of tonnage from the landfill. But there is a cost associated with that, as Steve said. It's not something we want to do. It's not something we like doing, but it's a necessity, and we understand that. So we've invested about $2 million in our system. And in fact, the place that our glass from our sort line goes to, we also take segregated glass. We do about 66 tons a week that we send out of glass. When we upgraded our system the second time, we put in a glass crusher. Now, if you guys come tour and you see our mixed glass, it doesn't look like glass, but by weight it is. The company that takes the glass, which I'm going to tour next week, invested about $2 million just to be able to handle this material. And they've got a ton of optics and magnets and all kinds of things because there's so much different material in that mixed glass. But yeah, it is a nightmare, and it tears everything up, and it has no value whatsoever. In fact, for the mixed glass, instead of getting that measly $5, $7, $10, $12 a ton, depending on the grade, we pay to get rid of it. It's less of than a landfill cost, but yeah.
What do the locations in Atlanta and Jackson do with it?
I don't know about the one in Jackson. Strategic. Okay, Strategic Materials in Atlanta, they kind of corner the market. There is another place in North Carolina that I can't think of the name of the company. I was at a conference a few years back and met someone from there. So I don't know anyone that goes to them though. Everyone seems to go to Strategic. They seem to be the largest. But so there's no shortage of glass, so it's not a commodity that anyone's really looking for. And when there's no shortage of a commodity and there's one guy in town, you know, it's just the reality of the situation.
Well, if they can figure out how to make carpet out of drink bottles, we need to do something with glass. Pave a road, do something with it.
That's the $1 billion idea right there.
Can we use it for substrate material?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only, I mean, there's, even then, there's so much of it, you don't have enough of that to be able to even do that with it. Put it in asphalt, do all these other things with it. There's just so much of it everywhere.
Boy, the hamster's running in the wheel now. Thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, anything else we need to discuss tonight? No, sir. No. We can't go there yet. I'll get the public input in just a minute. Yes, sir.
One question, and I heard the gentleman from Rock 10 mention this about aluminum recycling. Back a couple of months ago, I met a young man from Alcoa at one of the chamber meetings things over there, and he was introduced to me as a person who, with Alcoa Aluminum, who was going to begin a can recycling program there. And I just wonder if anybody's got any information on that and where that's going, and would that have any impact on what we're looking at here?
Mr. Dixon, can you address?
Okay, well, if the chairman allows, I'd love to hear your
I
comment.
just recognized him.
Thank you. I'm going to make kind of a general comment here, and I'll tie that in just a little bit with this. Recycling and waste is an industry, not a charity. It's not something wonderful. It is an industry, and there are a lot of people employed in this industry. From a $1 billion company like Rock 10, that's international, correct, to a moderate-sized company like I've got, to a little single-man company that goes out here and collects it at households around the county. Everything you do is going to impact this industry. Everything that Maryville has done has impacted this industry. I know of some private collectors that are trying to get out in the county and build routes to collect recyclables. I know of some waste collectors out in the county that call on houses that collect the recyclables in the side of their truck and bring them in. When Maryville or anybody else opens one of these centers, and that's their purpose, because as a government agency, you have services to your citizens. But they're taking a core of business and revenue out of these small businesses. Now, I personally have between $500,000 and $700,000 invested in the recycling portions of my business. I own multiple businesses, and that one, I have about that investment. I stepped in the year 2000 when they were talking about shutting down the recycling center. They had a grant, and the grant was out, and Tennessee Vocational was pulling out of it, and there was a big article in the paper, and somebody wanted $80,000 to keep the door open and $60,000. And I got together with the county mayor, and I said, hey, I'll take it. I'll do it for nothing, because I want to learn this. I got successful business. I can take some tax write-offs. I can do this. And we invested a lot of money over the years, and we've got collection centers, as you see from the pieces of paper, all over the county. Everything you do is going to impact my business, employees that I have working for me. When you use a term like single stream, this is a much debated issue around the country. It is a good process, particularly in certain applications. It has its drawbacks. It has its advantages. We have gone recently to a dual stream because it's conducive to the equipment and facility that we have. A single stream will call for a multi-million-dollar investment to process it. When you throw a bid specification in like a single stream, you're precluding competition, because Are you guys the only single stream processor in the Knoxville Standard Metropolitan Area? Yeah, that's it. That's the only person that could bid on your contract.
And I received something from, I'm not going to debate it or argue with you, but I received something from, was it Etowah, McMinn County? From some company there. From someone who's supposedly single streaming there. Huh?
Out in Nashville?
No, sir. McMinn County.
I'm pretty familiar with the area, and he's more familiar than I am because they
Well, like I say, I'm not going to debate it with
Yeah.
you.
And I haven't seen the thing.
It's irrelevant
Yeah.
right now. We're going to look at all avenues.
Sure. And I'm just saying, though, when you make these decisions, it has a ripple effect. And I hope you'll take that into consideration because there's a lot of small private guys out here that can be impacted. You were talking about Alcoa. Alcoa aluminum can recycling, I may be speaking a little bit out of turn, is basically what's kept Alcoa aluminum alive over here. That roll plant from aluminum cans is basically, I was over there today, I spent a good portion of the day over there, and is basically a primary thing. They bring aluminum cans in over there from all over the area. What they had is they had subcontracted the management of that out to another company, and they have changed that, and they're going direct to managing it themselves now, which they did 8-9 years ago, in that time frame somewhere. So they're going to in-house buyers and processors, whereas they had kind of subcontracted that operations out. But aluminum can recycling is critical to this plant over here. It has been for some time. One suggestion on your cleanup around some of the centers. I know the grant issue, and that's a very good thing. I'm very happy to see that grant application get approved by your committee. But you have people that have to do community service in this town, and those people could do time doing their community service, simply standing out there and picking up a little litter on the weekend or helping an elderly person put something in a container. And that would be a very low cost, no cost thing. I had proposed that several times to the city of Maryville. They didn't want to do it. They wanted their employees to be the ones doing it. That's basically what I had. I've done this for since 2000 in this county, and we have a good, strong, viable business now. And I just hope you will take into account the ripple effects and the things that your actions will have, because it's not just providing the service. There is an economic impact on small businesses that are dealing with this issue in this town. Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, next meeting. We've already discussed it. If it's all right with everyone, we will schedule it for Ms. Pitts. What was the date?
May 21st.
May 21, 5:30. Okay with everyone again? Now, input on items not on the agenda. Anyone wish to speak? I sort of recognized you and brought you up anyway earlier. Anyone else wish to speak? I'll stand for motion to adjourn. So moved. We out of here.